And we are live. Waffleboard breaks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's enjoying the mostly crummy game we got going tonight. Florida Panthers are showing why they are the defending Stanley Cup champions. That roster is absolutely built to go deep in the playoffs. The additions they made, with Seth Jones, is just another big body on that blue line with all around skill. And of course, Marchand is definitely Stanley Cup caliber. So, I mean, we'll see if Carolina can get themselves right down 3-0. They had a goal taken away in the first minute of the second due to offsides, but they're still down 3-0 in the second at home. Obviously, it'll be a long road ahead if they can't get this game going to Florida down 0-2. So we shall see. Obviously, Carolina is another, well tested but deep team that plays their style well, but you can't get down against this Panthers team. Like they strangle you, and they've proven this is how you win the cup. We'll see how it goes forward. Obviously, the West was interesting seeing Edmonton get up early, down up 3-1 going to the third, and then the power play for Dallas started clicking, and they took that one. Ended up being 6-3. I think they had a couple empty netters, at least one empty netter. So that was interesting to see out West. That means we're shaping up, as of right now, at a rematch with Edmonton and Florida, which no one would be a problem with because that wins 7 games, and we're in a winner in the third on Game 7. So that series was pretty much as good as it can get. Obviously Florida was up 3-0 and they allowed them to tie it, and then they won Game 7. So it wouldn't be a problem. Wouldn't be a problem if that was a rematch, but that just proves how good these teams are. Obviously Dallas is, good enough to get to the conference finals and even to the finals one year, and obviously Carolina is good enough to get to this level, but they can't quite get over the hump. And just showing how good and deep Florida and Dallas and Edmonton all are. I mean, these are teams that are challenging for the cup for a reason. So it's enjoying the playoffs. Obviously, there's no Cinderella stories. There's no out of left field upset teams. These are 4 teams deserve to be right where they are, and we'll see. I would be happy to see any of the 4 teams in the final. It's going to be fun. Nice to see Edmonton, McDavid try to get his first cup. Nice to see Florida, defend or try to repeat. Obviously, Carolina is, they put the pieces together and they play their style. But if you get a team like Florida that's starting to click on pretty much all their cylinders, they're going to be tough to beat. And then obviously Dallas. Dallas is stacked. They made some major trades, bringing in guys like Grant. They got one of the best goalies in the league. They got a couple of the best defensemen in the league, good young players, Miro and Thomas Harley, and their forwards are just stack to stack to stack. So I mean, it's just Johnson and Robertson, and obviously Jamie Benn trying to win his cup. So I mean, obviously they have that that heartstrings, trying to get the veterans, get their cup. So we'll see if they're able to close that out and get to the finals. But I'd be happy to see any of these 4. So I don't know if you guys are, as much fans of the league as you are your individual home teams, but I can watch any of these 4 teams and find players to root for, and there's always angles to root for, and it's just enjoyable to see good hockey played out, especially with the highest stakes possible. So you get used to it. Like I said, I haven't been being a Bull fan and having back-to-back cups and then a finals appearance, and just being at that level and seeing year in and year out your team retools a little bit. Obviously, Brisbois has made some, quality deals over the years. Obviously, it hurts, for long-term outlook. You gotta be smart and with your drafting and your signings, and you pick up some shrewd trades here and there. But obviously the Bolts window's not closed yet. Obviously, we still have one of the best goalies on the planet, one of the best forwards in the league, and one of the best defensemen. You're never quite closed, but it's tough in the cap world. Being able to make moves to fill holes or to retool is not easy to do. That's why we don't see teams dominate for a half decade like they could have. So Like I said, that's fun. It's fun for the league to have new blood come in, and obviously you got to suffer a little bit to become a champion. These teams that have drafted first overall, some of them have done well. Obviously Pittsburgh getting guys like Crosby and McKinnon in Colorado, and obviously in Tampa they got Stamkos and Hedman number 2, and obviously those are the teams that have gotten to the finals and won cups with their number 1 overall picks. Then you have, franchises that aren't as lucky or aren't as well run, get top picks and they don't win. Obviously, see, Buffalo's seems like they have a top number 1 pick or top 5 pick every year, and they've now starting to win elsewhere because they can't win there. Obviously, Eichel was number 2. He won in Vegas. Obviously, Reinhardt was a top 10 pick, and he won in Florida. Hurts a little bit to see Carter Verhaeghe, winning with Florida because he was not tendered an offer and he was allowed to sign in Florida. Obviously, Tampa, he was there for a year after playing in the minors for them. So it's he's a good young player that definitely blossomed into a lethal scorer. Obviously, Florida's got a bunch of lethal scorers. Reinhardt's, the Bennett's, the Verhaeghe's, the Matthew Tkachuk, mouthpiece of menace out there. They're one of the best 2-way players in the league with Barkov. It's just tough. I mean, you got to have a balance. From top to bottom. Your roster's got to have stars and big price players, but you also have to have quality up and down the roster. That's something that's hurt Toronto. I mean, Toronto's got 4 guys, like $10 million, 9 to 10 or 11, $12 million forwards, and they just don't have the up and down depth. I mean, they obviously they play whatever system they want, and they bring in players that kind of fit, but then they're not above. The middle 6 and the bottom 6 of Toronto is not as good as Florida's. Wasn't as good as Tampa's when they won the Cups. It's not as good as Dallas. It's not as good as Vegas. So it's you see the work. You see the work from these big GMs. They get their money and they deserve their accolades because it's a tough game now, especially with the cap. You gotta soothe and treat your home players, get them possibly to take discounts here and there, and you got to be smart with the money where you spend it, and it's a game. It's not a fantasy league. It's a lot more involved with the cap. You can't just bring in big name players. I mean, it was fun when Detroit did it. Bringing in stacks of Hall of Famers to make cup runs. Retooling and bringing in guys like Cujo and Hasek and Osgood again, and then obviously he's not a Hall of Famer, but he probably should be at some point. But like I said, and then having their defense, the Chelioses and Lidstrom was there forever, and their forwards they just kept bringing in Hall of Famers, bringing in Cicerellis and Shanahans, and it's the league's not like that anymore. It's definitely I think it's better overall, healthy wise for the league. We've seen the league succeed in warm weather markets. Obviously, Florida's done amazingly the last half decade. Obviously, Texas has done, pretty well with Dallas playing the way they are, and having been a top team. Vegas, obviously got to the finals right away, and now they won a cup. So those markets, Carolina has won a cup. Nashville hasn't quite. They're not really south, but Nashville hasn't quite got there yet. But they're, as far as southern, below the Great Lakes, it's there's those teams that have been in those markets where people weren't quite sure hockey would succeed. Obviously, Tennessee is it's not quite thought of as a hockey, playgrounds. Obviously, I mean, they have football. I mean, they don't have a basketball team. There's no technically no baseball. Lots of minor league baseball, but so that those markets to see those teams succeed. I mean, it's good for the game. It's not as fun if you're a fan of one of the diehards. Obviously, the original Sixes, and they're suffering this year. Obviously, the 4 American teams, like I said, it was the first time I think ever they said that the original 6, the 4 American teams did not make one of them did not make the playoffs. That's absurd. Like if you think about it, how many cups and how many appearances, the Detroit, Chicago, the Rangers and the Bruins have to their names. Yeah, obviously, Montreal got in, and it's just that Toronto got in, but the 4 American teams, I think they said it was the first time that one of those 4 did not make the playoffs. That's just pretty crazy, but I guess it just makes sense. When you went from low 20s, now we're at 32 teams. It's those teams have always been, the anchors of the league. We talk about the original 6 anyway, but the diehard fan bases, and they want to see some wins. So it's good to see Montreal. Montreal, took their lumps. They had a Hall of Fame caliber goalie, and just things didn't work out for them. They got top picks, several years in a row, and they're starting to look like they work. Obviously, they hit on some players that weren't as highly thought of. Hudson in defense, and they've drafted well, and they've done. Like I said, they had some bad picks, but they were able to shake them off and start to work their roster to make them a playoff caliber team. So, like I said, just tonight, which 1 box is the last box before the reload. Boxes are built, jerseys are here in the bin. I'll be doing the video probably tomorrow afternoon, the boxing up video. So I'll stream it live and then post it when I'm done. So just to let you guys see the jerseys in the bags before they go boxed up. Like I said, just 23 boxes. It's crazy we get down to this low. Can't get any lower. Obviously, it's not feasible for me, financially. When you start getting your totals for your box breaks is, getting close to what the jerseys cost, it's not worth it for me. But 23, 22, that's the lowest we can get. And then I don't mind, popping back up, a dozen or so. But we've been able to do 16 in reloads, which is pretty good. It gives us 4 weeks of breaks before we get down to 22 again. I'd like to get a little more buffer if I could, but sometimes it's tough to grab jerseys. So it's on my my end. So, like, I've been doing pretty well lately. So I got about half a dozen new jerseys that aren't names in the boxes. Then I have about 4 or 5 of jerseys that are alternates or variations of names that are in the boxes. So I'm pretty close to being ready for a month from now. So it's good. So I don't have to spend most of my time scrounging and digging and trying to find good stuff for you guys. But it's been pretty good so far. Been lucky with some good snags. So. But like I said, just start 23 tonight. I think it was a short group of guys. I think it's only 8 of you tonight. I think, and in fact, I was looking at the numbers. Our 20 club, there's 9 people that have hit 20 times in the boxes. 7 of the 9 are in the break tonight, and the only other one is one of our newer members, Justin. So Justin's got 1 spot, and then a couple of you guys have 2. That's CK and Mike H, and you're 2 of the bigger hitters of the top 9. And so like I said, somebody's gonna be quite happy, but most of you, other than Justin, have hit more than 20 or more times, which is good. Like I said, I appreciate the continued support. I'm sure you guys are growing your collections, and whether you use your jerseys from me as part of your PCs, or you trade them or sell them or flip them or whatever you're doing with them, I do appreciate the continued support. You guys are our hockey jersey, auto hockey jersey lunatics like myself. Maybe more so or maybe less so, but it's a fun hobby. There's not a billion of us out there, which is good and bad. Like I said, it's so obviously the Facebook fills are pre-priced. So it's not like I could make more or less money on the Facebook fills. And like I said, you guys decide what the spot prices are for the eBay. You guys have battles over certain spots, and if there's any unsold, which I'm sure there'll be with 38 boxes this week or 38 jerseys. But like I said, I'm always happy to bring in new people. Obviously, you want them to enjoy the breaks. It's always more fun if you hit. So sometimes we have beginner's luck, but Justin's been in a couple of boxes and he hasn't hit yet. But like I said, it's only one spot. Tonight you got 1 in 23 chances of that jersey hitting. So it's, like I said, it's purely an odds thing. You guys know the drill. Of course, we're going to randomize for the box we're going to open tonight. It could be any of the 23. Right now, we're looking at 2 boxes from last year that are still collecting dust. Then we have the 3 from February, the 2 from March. Now we're down to 7 and 9 from the last 2 reloads. So we've been doing pretty good hitting recent stuff in the last week or so. But there's still some stuff that's sitting up there that you guys are chasing. So I'm rooting for everybody, not rooting against anything. Like I said, every jersey that comes out, I'm happy to see. Like I said, I'll get the stuff ready for Sunday. Can't wait to see what comes out of the reload boxes. But like I said, 16 new boxes could be two. Like I said, we're going to be that 16 from the reload and then 22 old boxes. So you're almost 50-50 a new box will hit. So we'll see how it is. But sometimes we haven't hit one in the first week or so, but it's always fun to see how long the New Jerseys stick around. So like I said, just the game tonight. I don't know what's the score. Anybody know what's going on with is it still 3-0? Who's in the room? Who's here live with us? I don't want to give you guys some time, but obviously everybody's either watching the game or doing other stuff. I know how Thursdays could be for everybody, so I don't want to wait around too long. Let me see. Let me just get a score check on my end. If anybody's not paying attention. What we're looking at 4-0. Ooh, that one's and that's 5-0. Oh, that's not good for the Canes. The Cane at home, maybe the last time you see your team when you get pounded at home, and it's not a lot of shots. Oh, it was a 4-0, 4-0. So then they changed it. So whatever it was, I don't know if a goal got taken away, but I did see 4-0. But Bennett scored for Verhaeghe to make it 4-0. Bennett scored for Verhaeghe and Rodriguez to make it 3-0. Man, that team is just clicking. So I mean, that's you see what's the shot totals. Where are we looking at? They have 7 shots on Bobrovsky at home. That's not good. That's not good. And they have 16 on Anderson and 4 have gotten past them. That's also not good. Like, I mean, the couple weren't his fault, obviously, and stuff gets deflected and tipped. I mean, that goal mouth play by Kachuk was just filthy. I mean, just getting down to that point and just having your stick ready. Could have hit his skate or his stick, but hit his stick. And then obviously Verhaeghe's the second one was tipped by Bennett. They're just a fierce team. They're mean. Like I said, that team. I mean, their defense is big and talented. You know, obviously guys like Forsling is not. He's not probably the smallest. I think he's like 6'1", but the rest of them are monsters. I mean, it's just. Mikola is like 6'6". Seth Jones, I remember when I was there in Jersey, up in Newark when he got drafted. He's 6'3". Popeye's kid. Like I said, it's just that team is just. I mean, Ekblad was the number 1 overall pick. He's got to be like 6'2", 6'3" as well. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, I don't begrudge Florida because they took their lumps from Tampa for a couple of years and just kept getting back at it, and they just kept piecing together a team that's now the Stanley Cup champion, and right now we're looking maybe 2 games away from being back to defend that title, which is cool. Like I said, I remember when the Bolts did it was fun. Obviously, we're going through a couple of years of the COVID there, but then the second year we had fans there. But can't wait to see it. I said I'm like I said, I don't necessarily rooting for Florida when they get to the finals because I would love to see Edmonton or Dallas possibly win their cups. But right now Carolina is not coming up big in this playoffs. You can't lose your 2 home games, and today getting walloped. Can't get walloped in game 2 going to Florida. So that's not good. I said, come on, rod the bod. I mean, there's only so much you can do. So when you get beat out there on the ice, it's not all the coach's fault. So, but let's get going. Like I said, just 1 box tonight. I think we got a couple people in the room, so let's get rolling. Good luck to everybody. Like I said, I think there's 8 different people tonight. So, and obviously Justin's got one of our newest guys has got 1 spot. So the other 22 boxes are split amongst the 7 of the top 9 hitters in our Waffle Breaks history. So we are looking at, this is box 446, which means back when we did doubles, we've had 467 jerseys come out of boxes so far. So let's see where we're going here. Get my randoms up. I don't want to lose. Make sure my video is running clean. I don't want to lose. I don't want to drop the video here. So let me make sure. streaming going. There we go. Okay, let me get my list up here. My dice roller. My list number. Okay. Make sure it doesn't drop. Okay, there we go. It did not drop. Here we go. Of course, your boxes are here, still in order, up to 91. Our oldest, of course, 60 and 3. And then of 3 will be skipped definitely in this batch, this reload. Reload will be starting with 94, and obviously we'll skip 3. I think it goes to number 10. 10 would be the last box of the reload batch. So there we go here. Obviously 9 and 7 from our last 2 batches. So good luck, everybody. This is fun. Last box before the reload. 1 in 23 odds. Can't get better odds on a full stated roster pretty much anywhere. So good luck to everybody. Congrats to the winner, whoever that may be. Let's do it. 5 or more on our dice roll. See what we got. 7 more rather. 5 or more. 5 or more on our dice roll. Let's do it. 3 is no good. 6 is what it is. 6 is the number. 6 times, guys. 5 or more. 5 or more we did. 6 times. So good luck, everybody. Let's get our box. Lost the pencil? No, didn't. 23 boxes. 2. 23 boxes. 3. 4. 5. And the box we're going to open tonight is going to be box number 89. 89. There it is. 6 times 89. So we've been hitting, was that 3 in a row? 87? Did we really? Yeah, 87, 88, and 89. That's absolutely absurd. Not like we've ever done 3 in a row numbers like that before, but 89. There it is. I never have done 3 of the same consecutive numbers of boxes. I mean, it really doesn't matter anything because it's just a random one of 23. But the hit 87, 88, 89 is mathematically weird. So there we go. It is 23 boxes, 6 times box 89. So it's not like the other 80s are even, I mean, the other 80s are in there, 86 and 80. But 87, 88, and 89 are our last 3 boxes, which is pretty crazy. So there we go. Okay. Very good. Anyway, 78, 87 on Sunday, which is kind of palindromic. 87, 8, 87, and then 88, 89 were our last 2 boxes. Pretty crazy. So let's get going back to the table. Okay. Overcorrected. There we go. Okay. Okay, let me back this out so I can get that on my list. 89. Wow. 89. 89 is going to be gone. Okay, there we go. Let's go. Yeah, the beach cats. The beach cats. I moved the camera. I guess you can't jiggle again. I don't know what happened. It seems the way I do when I do smooth slides like that and pans seems to be working fine, but let's do it. 89. 89. And the boxes look like steps. I can even it out. Of course, the table will be even out. 22 are going to be on the table when I sort it back out. And the 16 will be right here on the shelves, like always. 12, 16. So there they are. The 16 are there. I got to figure out my numbering. So we'll see what goes. Let me get my list up here. 89. 87, 88, 89 is pretty crazy. What was our last 3? We had Duchesne last. And I remember who was in 70, 87, or 78, 87. 78 was the first one. That was the Richter. And 70, and then 87 was the Adam Fox. And then 88 does it work? 88 was Duchesne. That's what it was. So 78 Richter, 87 Adam Fox, 88 Matt Duchesne. Here we go. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's go. Good luck, everybody. I see some of the bids have gotten in on the reload stuff already. So after this, I will take down whatever's in this box. You guys that are expecting jerseys, I will mail them out. If I don't mail them out tomorrow, it'll be Saturday morning early. That's Sadiq Ryan, who's not here because he does Sundays. Big Al Ty. And whatever comes out of this box, they will be put to the mail to you guys. I'm sure you've received your boxes from the stuff I mailed already. So if you haven't, let me know. But mail's been moving along pretty smoothly. So, but here we go. Box 89. Box 89. Last box before the reload. Good luck, everybody. Okay. Let's do it. Let's do it. Good luck. Who's going to hit with the best odds possible? And that is, it's a real nice one. Real nice one. One of the top scorers on the team currently, Adidas Pro, Jordan Kyrou, St. Louis Blues. There it is. Jordan Kyrou, East Coast COA, Jordan Kyrou. There we go. That's a beauty. Oh. Jordan Kyrou. There we go. Boom. Tags, of course. Jordan Kyrou, one of the top scorers on the St. Louis Blues. East Coast Hollow COA. Of course, we're fight straps for the pro models. Gorgeous St. Louis Blues logo. The blue notes are represented. Very good. There we go. Absolute beautiful colors. Very nice. Jordan Kyrou, St. Louis blue shirts, blue notes. The blue notes, not the blue shirts. That's the Rangers. The blue notes, Jordan Kyrou, and that goes to. Let me see. Oh yeah, let me see. Congratulations. That goes to Sadiq. Oh, the machine is starting to get rolling. Man, you guys are in trouble back when Sadiq was a heavy player. Sadiq is within earshot of us right now, so he is playing and he's hitting. Bing. Oh, wow. How about that one? He hit the Richter first box on Sunday, and now he hit the Jordan Kyrou. So I think he hit before that even too. So he's in the 2020 group, but he's starting to move back up the list. It's now a three-way tie with 21 between Ty and Derek and Sadiq. Man, Sadiq. Woo! Congratulations, Sadiq. Welcome back to the breaks. It's nice to see you back heavy. Yeah, sorry for everybody. Of course, it did not hit, but that just shows you, man. Ooh, some people have the magic when they get hot. He's definitely getting on a heater. So I don't know how he's been in the other rooms that he visits, but congratulations on him. Real nice Jordan Kyrou, St. Louis Blues represented. I'm trying to think of anything current going St. Louis back in. I know that Brad Boyes is in there. I don't think I have a St. Louis Blues. Yeah, that's right. Tarasenko. So Jordan Kyrou gone. Tarasenko in for anybody that's chasing Blues, trying to make your sets, because I know Blues are pretty tough to come across for me usually. So, right, I mean, we had probably half dozen in there over the 400 and something boxes, but Kyrou's gone. Boyes is still in there. That's the Fanatics, and the Vladimir Tarasenko is an Adidas, so it's very similar to the Kyrou. I think it's the same colors. I have to see that when I show the I think they're pretty much the same color rate. They made that change right around when Tarasenko hit with the Blues. So, but congratulations. Yeah, thanks. It's a big F from Big Al. Congratulations, Sadiq. Nice to see you hitting. Like I said, I root for everybody. Don't root against anybody. But Sadiq used to be one of our heavy players, and he was a one of the top 3 for a long time. And then he took a break. Obviously, he wasn't around as much, and he's still in our top 9. Now the bottom 3 are tied. So, looking to make some ground to get back up into the leaders board. But congratulations to him. Get ready for Sunday. Like I said, the spot prices should be cheap all around on the bids. And of course, next week, the drill. Nothing will be over 10 on the first 2 boxes, and then we'll sort it out. After the next weekend. But this weekend, it's up to you guys on eBay, and then I'll set the list for next Tuesday and Thursday. So fantastic. Definitely we'll get ready for Sunday. I don't know what you guys are doing for your holiday weekend. Weather's been pretty meh here in Jersey, but hopefully it clears up a bit. Obviously, everybody's got a 3-day weekend coming up, but we'll get going on Sunday. First break with the reload. Enjoy bidding on those spots. Can't wait to see what is the hot spots. I mean, so I always know which ones are going to be pretty hot, but then sometimes stuff comes out of left field. I'm like, oh, people are chasing that guy now. So it's like I said, Jordan Cairo is one of those guys. I mean, he didn't get a lot of love for a while, and then, like I said, I managed to grab one, and it was popular. And then Big Al, hit the one I had, and then. So that's that Jordan Cairo. People started to recognize St. Louis as when they got hot and they got to the playoffs and they won 12 in a row. Jordan Cairo was one of those guys people started to notice, nationwide. So this guy can play. So congratulations to that one, Sadiq. It's a really, really beautiful one. Like I said, I don't have Jordan in my PC, so it's a really nice hit. But thank you, everybody. I look forward to seeing you guys on Sunday. Waffle Break definitely is appreciative of everybody's continued love and support, and I can't wait to see you guys on Sunday. So thank you very much. Until then, Waffle Breaks is out. Take care, guys.